welcome to Heads Up, and here's wishing all our viewers a very happy Diwali.
We promise you a cracker of a show today. We will take a look at startups which go far and beyond the usual e-commerce and tech talk.
That's right, India is the fastest growing startup ecosystem in the world and the #1 when it comes to social entrepreneurship.
Today on the show, we will take a look at some of the startups which help people like you and I tackle the problems that we face on a daily basis.
Bihar elections or any other for that matter, it's imperative for voters to get involved and work with their politicians closely. And that's what Ritvika, a Harvard graduate, is hoping to achieve with her startup Swan ET.
Yes, an initiative that helps connect voters with their elected representatives to resolve problems that might exist within their constituency. Swan ET hopes to bridge the gap that exists between voters and politicians. Everyone seems to have an opinion on the politics in the country, analyzing, questioning and debating. Ritvika Bhattacharya did the same when she was studying at Harvard University. However, what she did after that was in many ways unique.
I was at Harvard at the time, and basically we were watching the 2009 elections. And what we noticed was there was all of this energy on the university campus to be a part of the political process. And there was really no channel of going into political process, specifically in working with elected officials. And what we decided was, why not create something?
Ritvika is the founder of Swan ET, an organization that works with MPs, MLAs and other elected representatives in varying capacities. After a competitive admission process, fellows get matched with an MP or MLA and work with them to resolve the operational challenges they have in furthering the development in their constituency.
I work with Dr. JP centered around regularizing the land tenure in a below poverty line slum colony for 900 families. So we created the knowledge around what are the eligible criteria according to the government order, and then subsequently identified the genuine land and title holders, and finally were able to move the process one step more closer towards empowering them with land titles. So that was a phenomenal work that we did.
My work primarily involves client engagements where I get to have one-on-one interactions with elected representatives. At the same time, I'm also working on knowledge consultations where I'm preparing briefs on centrally sponsored schemes which can be used by the elected representatives to catalyze development in their constituencies.
From famous politicians like H.K. Dua, Smriti Irani, to Vandana Chavan, a Rajya Sabha MP from Maharashtra, and Jayavardhan Singh, an MLA from Madhya Pradesh, are some of the politicians that work with Swan ET fellows. Swan ET aims to work with 50% of the MPs in the next 5 years, assisting them in getting in touch with voters in their constituencies, by talking to them, living with them, and devising ways with the politician to address their concerns.
I mean, the fact that I've kind of left my corporate job and came here means that I really like what we're doing here. But in terms of the difference, obviously, first and the foremost thing is that you get to work with the elected representatives, talking to them on a day-to-day basis, trying to understand what are the operational challenges which they face. Really, India is not really a poor country today. I mean, we have a lot of resources at our disposal, but the problem is, how do I go and execute it?
Who said changing the system is easy? But with the young getting involved, Indian politics may never be the same again. With Kriti Mathur and camera person Rakesh, this is Abhishek Singh for NDTV. Bridging the communication gap which exists between voters and their elected representatives could prove to be a critical step in achieving the level of development desired in the country. Moving on to the story of 23 years old Prakalpa Sankar and Varun Banka, who at the young age of 23 have managed to figure in Forbes list of top entrepreneurs in India.
That's right, their technology data startup uses citizen voices to find out all that's missing in our civic spaces and provide for that. Here's their story.
Just 23 and Varun and Prakalpa found themselves in the Forbes list of top social entrepreneurs in India. Their startup, Social Cops, is a technology data company which has been converting citizen voices into tangible results. The data collected and analyzed by them enables corporations, NGOs and governments make better decisions about specific issues. While a startup was not part of their plans, The two found themselves together in Singapore, united by a desire to see change on the ground.
Both Varun and I grew up in India, and both of us after our 12th got a scholarship to go study in Singapore. So I studied engineering and entrepreneurship in Singapore. Varun studied computer engineering, and my dream plan was I study engineering, I work in McKinsey for 2 years, then go to Harvard Business School, do an MBA, then figure out what I want to do with my life.
Brief stint with an investment bank. I had a brief stint with a software giant. And that's where I realized that how data can be used beyond just in a financial sector. If you look at the financial sector, everybody uses data.
And in 2012, at the end of a brainstorming session in a dorm in Singapore's Nanyang Technological University, Social Corps was born. Inspired by Andrew McAfee, a research scientist at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, known for his studies on how information technology affects businesses. The two say the world is nothing but a big data problem. Explaining the rationale behind starting Social Corps, Prakalpa says back in 2011 and 12, the India Against Corruption movement was at its peak, and we realized that people wanted to be actively involved in changing policies, changing the status of things for the better by connecting people with administration to find solutions for problems like garbage on the roads, potholes and other such issues. On coming to India, the first thing that they did was a Bharat Darshan, a train ride across India to try and see the challenges of a country as vast and diverse as ours firsthand, and noticed that while broken roads, sanitation and access to electricity are pressing problems people battle with every day, an effective solution was missing. This is where Social Corps thought of a solution, stressing on achieving results by reversing the decision-making process through effective use of technology.
I guess one of the most important things is if you look at a developing country, right, it's so difficult to manage this. Like you have people from different languages, people from different areas, and every geography has different kind of challenges, right? And how does an administrator manage these resources, right? And you always have minimum resources to manage. So what prevention means, you can understand what data is coming in, understand what is going wrong, what is going right. The second is data can be a cure. What does cure mean is what data comes out, can you drive different kind of insights? Villagers need water. So we got an insight saying that, hey, villagers actually need a bus stop, not water, rather than giving them water. But how can you put a micro element to it so that you know exactly what needs to be done?
Data, they say, can be leveraged to help governments and other groups address bigger problems like healthcare, education and sanitation. Among the big successes for Social Corps was a community mapping and micro-planning project for 264 villages in Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh, which collected crucial data on literacy, sanitation, access to electricity, etc., which people believe the government should address urgently. The data thus collected was processed and analyzed before being presented to the administration in an easy-to-grasp format. Findings of the sector-wise surveys undertaken by the Member of Parliament and Tata Trust will be used to develop Vijayawada as a model constituency over 3 years.
We collect data about every single citizen, every single school, every single village. All of this was mapped using a mobile app, Android-based, works on 2,000 rupees phones and completely in Telugu. So this was in Vijayawada and AP. 1,000 volunteers were deployed, and all of these people were like 10th, 12th class pass, and this was the first time they were interacting with a smartphone. They went out and collected about 150 data points about every individual, mapped information at the panchayat level to actually understand where problems were happening. We were also able to look at a larger level perspective and say, hey, you know what, like in this particular areas we need to build toilets because the toilet penetration is less than 20%, and that was essentially the outcome of the entire thing, right?
Low internet penetration is an issue all tech-based startups operating in the developing world are grappling with, and it's no different for Social Corps.
Challenges are just the infrastructural issues that we face today in the developing parts of the world, right? So internet is a huge challenge, which is why we built our platform to work completely without internet. So everything works without internet. The minute there's an internet connection detected, data syncs back.
Among those betting on Varun and Prakalpa is Google's India MD Rajan Anandan, who has invested in the venture. The best guarantee to ensure a better tomorrow is to divert our resources and efforts in the right direction, and as Social Corps have demonstrated many a times, it is achievable. Just follow the data, it points the way. With camera person Hira Mandal, Abhishek Singh for NDTV.
According to a recent report, while only 20% of Indians have access to the internet, the numbers are even lower for those with access to basic computers. And that's what these two startup founders are hoping to change.
Yes, this Bangalore-based startup called Renew IT, founded by B.S. Mukund and Raghav, aims to make computers affordable for everyone. They buy computers from big corporate organizations and sell them to government school students and NGOs.
Smart cities, digital India, and a big use of big data. Amidst all the talk of a digital India and getting the country e-ready, many are working quietly to help reduce the appalling digital disparity. And that's the vision that brought IIM graduate Mukund and his co-founder Raghav together 6 years ago. They buy computers in bulk, refurbish them, and sell them at low cost to smaller schools, colleges, and NGOs. Part of the refurbishing also includes removing all data using a Department of Defense data destruction software, testing for functionality, replacing defective parts, and retesting. Quality, they say, is uncompromised.
90% of India didn't have access to computers. So I thought, why would we want to take away good computers and strip them apart? Instead, if we can refurbish them and give it at affordable prices to Indians, then the whole landscape would change. We only source computers from corporates because these are well-maintained assets and they have another good 4 or 5 years left in them. And they upgrade their computers every 5-6 years once because they need better technology for the processes they follow.
The main focus is the part of India that does not figure on the digital map. According to a study, 1 billion Indians have no access to the internet. Their biggest deterrents: poverty, illiteracy, and lack of good infrastructure. Mukund says his startup, Renew IT, is trying to plug this divide. They've sold computers to all parts of the country, from Orissa and UP to Arunachal Pradesh. Apart from this, they also provide after-sales support in most areas, including small towns, where often larger IT giants have no support presence. But their journey was not an easy one.
So when we started off, not many people understood what they did, and like even though I'm a IIM graduate, they said, why are you doing like a kabaddi wala kind of a job, because you're buying back old stuff and then you're trying to sell them. But when we started off, our mission was to make computers affordable to everyone. So if we could take away stuff which is no longer useful and give it to people where they could make use of it, I think we would reach our purpose.
The goal may be ambitious, but it's efforts like this which will see it being realized. With Lakshmi Shivadas, Natasha Jog, NDTV.
Well, it's time for us now to slip into a short break, but you don't go anywhere. There's lots more on the other side.